The last time we looked at Gaia, the streaming service targeted towards people who are looking for answers to their conspiracy theories, we talked about some pretty low-hanging fruit. Gaia tried to convince us that giants used to roam the Earth, which is pretty obviously false, but it was fun to pick at it and kind of break it down. The idea of this video is to show something a little bit more, maybe not probable, but something that people are more likely to believe. UFOs have been a craze for as long as people can possibly imagine. It's just one of those ideas that everybody wants to be a part of. Everybody wants to be that witness, the true witness to history, when an alien race finally makes contact with humanity. And whatever you believe about aliens, these UFO videos can sometimes feel pretty compelling. Conspiracy theories, aliens, sounds like something Gaia would be particularly interested in, which is why I'm not surprised that I found this video that they made called "These Witnesses Recorded Pyramid-Shaped UFOs." You have to give them credit where it's due. The production value on these videos is pretty interesting. I mean, you'll notice that a lot of the sets that they use and the speakers that they use are the same people and, in the same locations, which is why they're able to cut down on costs for producing these. The more of these shows that they produce with these minimal costs, the more of a return on investment the whole thing is. But when it comes to actually providing you with something that's nice to watch, interesting, they don't cut corners.
Consider for a moment that intelligent beings from other planets have arrived on Earth and have observed us for at least the past 75 years, and probably much longer. Consider that their presence was more evident from the detonation of atomic bombs in 1945. Since then, dozens of unidentified aerial phenomena have been reported around nuclear facilities, where, according to these reports, they've manipulated and even neutralized the operation of nuclear missiles. Consider the possibility that they're concerned about humanity and what could happen if an atomic incident occurred.
The language that they use here is pretty careful. They say, consider this, consider that, consider the possibility that aliens are, deeply entwined with our history, and consider the fact that we see more of it ever since the detonation of nuclear bombs. What is this based off of? Where are they pulling this from? Just like always, you'll never find a source when it comes to Gaia, and so there's absolutely no reason that we should be just willing to hop on along for the ride with these wild assumptions. They're providing us with a set of ideas that we already have to adhere to just to be able to get on board with the ridiculous claims that this video is going to try to make. And in a way, I think it's also meant to filter out any viewers outright who are too skeptical to push through and watch 10 minutes of this stuff. I compare it to the way that email scams are often riddled with spelling mistakes, and it's commonly believed that that actually isn't always unintentional. By putting a lot of spelling mistakes or obvious signs of deception into their emails that they send out to millions of people, they can eliminate anybody who would obviously be too smart to fall for their scam in the first place. And the only people remaining end up being the people that they wanted to target.
December 9th, 2009. 3 young men, Dmitry Kazantse, Irakli, and Robert Voltek, were driving in a car around Red Square, close to the Kremlin in Moscow. Between the hours of 4 and 5 in the morning, they observed something extraordinary. A pyramid-shaped object, several hundred meters long, was hovering over the Kremlin.
If I walked up to you and showed you a video that I took last night of some weird little shape in the sky, you would likely not think all that much of it. But if I pack it up in a story about the Kremlin, a story about me and my friends just casually having a night, maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to convince you that this is actually real.
At dawn, just before 8 in the morning local time, the pyramid was recorded again. You can see the tetrahedron from a greater distance just as the sun's light was appearing.
The daylight was really starting to show. It was getting clear, and we have this beautiful image where you can see the big pyramid completely in daylight, 8:15 in the morning, also very near the red square.
Gaia doesn't know it, but this really doesn't help their case. Not only are they now claiming that you could see this thing even in broad daylight, which basically throws out all the claims of it was too dark for most people to see it. That's why there's not that many witnesses. But you're also showing that apparently you could see it from far away. So over a wide area, there should be numerous people who saw this object, and it's just not true. There were like 3 videos that went viral and a bunch of speculation about that, but there weren't, hundreds or even tens of witnesses to this event.
This suggests that the giant object remained over Red Square for at least 3 hours without any fighter aircraft being deployed, without any defense action having been carried out. Considering Russia is one of the most protected and powerful nations in the world, why was there no decisive military response?
We have to ask ourselves, if this was a real incident, if there really was a large pyramidal structure hovering over the Kremlin in this very sensitive airspace, why weren't jets scrambled into there?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Why wouldn't there be a military reaction to a massive spaceship above the Kremlin? I'm not in Russian politics, but I don't think that they would just sit back and watch. And the sheer idea of taking this obvious flaw in your logic and turning it around and using it as evidence that it's some kind of conspiracy, I just don't understand.
Can you imagine if we scrambled jets into that area? We would force a confrontation, which I believe in this case, they didn't want to be the aggressors. They figured, let's just watch and wait. Let's just see if this is a peaceful observation. Because if they were the first ones to start a provocation, this would be international news. It would cause fear and panic. And I don't think anyone wanted that.
If there was an actual spaceship above the Kremlin, if there was an actual spaceship anywhere, that would be international news regardless of whether or not it ends in warfare. It's just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. So I actually did some research. I looked into this because I wanted to see the original video in its original context. Gaia never provides sources or context to anything and loves to cut things out, as we all know. So I figured, hey, let's just look for the original video and see if we can figure anything out. And it turns out I got pretty lucky. The original video was uploaded on a channel by the name of Erekel Rodonaya, which I assume is the name of the guy who made the channel. So the first thing I did was Google his name, and a few things came up. The most interesting was his LinkedIn profile. It had a bunch of companies that he used to work for and showed his working history. He works in marketing and in film. One thing I found particularly interesting is a playlist on his YouTube channel called ECHOVIRUSES. It's full of YouTube stunts and viral videos that have up to 40 million views. And lo and behold, on his LinkedIn profile, between 2009 and 2011, he worked for a company called ECHOVIRUSES. So all I had to do was look up ECHOVIRUSES viral marketing agency, and guess what I found? Yes, it's in Russian, but what it says is what's important. It's a portfolio for a viral marketing agency, and one of their crown jewels is this UFO sighting video. They boast about the number of views that they got, and honestly, I think this pretty much puts the nail in the coffin for this first video.
In addition to the presence of the giant tetrahedron over the Kremlin, on the morning of December 9th, another mystery presented itself. In northern Norway, an extraordinary spiral appeared in the sky.
Many people suggested that the bright light pattern might have been a UFO, until Russia finally admitted to the accident. They confirmed that a Bulava ballistic missile test launched from the White Sea had failed. And it happened the same day as the pyramid over the Kremlin, both things at the very early hours of the morning. This is no coincidence.
Except that didn't happen, right? Because it was faked. So what you're correlating is a fake video of a UFO and an incident that the Russian government held themselves accountable for. Okay?
The very next day, on December 10th, 2009, President Obama is in Norway to accept his Nobel Peace Prize. In a 36-minute speech, he discussed the tensions between war and peace.
The absence of hope can rot a society from within.
What is the implication here? That Obama was giving a peace speech because he was in contact with aliens who were basically telling him off for humanity's misdoings? I don't understand. But since we know that the video is faked, this is completely meaningless. And even if the video were real, this has nothing to do with it. Show me one video where Barack Obama isn't talking about peace or hope or something like that. It was just his whole MO, and I wouldn't expect him to talk about anything else when he's accepting a Nobel Peace Prize.
This is very hard to dismiss as a coincidence.
No, it isn't. It really isn't. You're just real.
President Obama delivers a peace speech for his Nobel Peace Prize commemoration in Norway, when just the day before that spiraling missile is on display at the same time that the tetrahedron object appears over the Kremlin?
When I look at all these three events all occurring in the same 36-hour period, practically, I never see coincidence. I believe in a lot of things, because I've seen them, but I don't believe in coincidence.
I'm not surprised at all. I think most people who work for Gaia don't believe in coincidence, and maybe there is no coincidence. Maybe everything is predetermined. Maybe fate is real. But even if that's the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that the way that the world is predetermined is through your wild conspiracy theories. So you're gonna have to come up with a little bit more than I don't believe in coincidences to convince anybody that your particular way of seeing the world is true.
These things, I believe, are connected somehow. We need to see patterns, clues, real clues, regular clues, dispositive clues, and we need to connect these and see the patterns and see how they could all be connected.
What if the rotating tetrahedron appearing over the Kremlin is of unknown extraterrestrial origin? What might the significance of this extraordinary event suggest?
It's such a lame spaceship. It really is kind of lame. I've seen so many of these UFO videos, and some of them are pretty compelling. If you look at one of the most recent examples of UFO videos that people are relatively confused about, it's these white pill videos that were released by the government. A lot of the reasons why people believe that there might be something there is that the movement of those little white pills is just ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense. We can't really explain it, apparently. This thing is just kind of floating there. The lighting seems way off, like somebody basically just made this in Blender and really didn't know what they were doing. I guess maybe seeing one of these spaceships arrive and leave or something like that may make it a little bit more convincing, but something about just a big turning tetrahedron in the sky not being seen by anybody is just not really that convincing, you know?
This cannot be ignored. I believe this is a communication to promote world peace. This is what the extraterrestrials want, and this is what humanity desperately needs.
Again, we're going into like preaching to people about what humanity desperately needs, and yet he's basing it off of a fake video. And even if it wasn't fake, how does this guy know what these aliens are trying to communicate? Peace? How would you know that? Maybe they're plotting to kill us all, you know? Maybe they're scanning us. Who knows? I'm sure plenty of them believe that too.
9 years and 9 months later, on December 19th, 2018, the same pyramid-shaped object
Look up, man.
was observed and recorded by at least 4 witnesses from 3 different locations, hovering very close to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C.
As you'll see, they're going to try and back up their new story from 2018 with the story from 2009. They're implying that it's the same aircraft, and they're basically saying, well, now that you believe in the 2009 story, it'll be much easier to get you to believe the one in 2018.
How could a pyramid hover in the airspace above the 2 most sensitive and secure political, military establishments on this planet? If real, these 2 cases could be amongst the most significant events in the history of unidentified aerial phenomena.
You know what? They're totally right about that. If this were true, it would be the most important discovery in all of human history. So if it really did happen, it would have had to be witnessed by a considerable number of people with considerable motivation to share that information with other people. It just doesn't make sense that the whole thing could even be kept a secret, or why someone would keep it a secret. It never seems to add up with these conspiracy theories.
He was working on a photography project around 4 in the morning at Arlington National Cemetery when he captured this video.
Listen, I'm not very good with camera work or lighting or photography, but let's be real. If this guy was out doing a photography project, you'd expect him to come back with something a little better than this.
Alex estimated the size of this tetrahedron-shaped object to the best of his abilities, which was somewhere between 300 to 600 feet at the base.
The video just breaks down as soon as you look anywhere past their own video for information. And that's what I hate about Gaia. It makes people think that when they want to learn more about something, Gaia is the place to go. And Gaia extensively goes into these topics more and more in series, not just in single documentaries. So if you believe in a certain type of pseudoscience, you can find entire web shows, or TV shows really, about those topics. And it's really frightening because it's obviously a rabbit hole that people just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into. But putting these 2 ridiculous examples aside, I'd like to know, what do you think? Are aliens real? Have they visited us? Are UFOs real? Do you have a video that you think could convince me that aliens have visited this planet? Because I would absolutely love to see it and maybe even make a video response to it. If you like this video and you want to support the channel, be sure to leave a like and a comment and make sure you're subscribed so you know the next time that I upload. And with that, I thank you for watching.